Hi, Warriors. How's everyone doing today? Good morning, good day to everybody. All right, we have to move because the wizard doesn't have a lot of time before he has to get back to Oz.
But I don't see him
I
yet.
don't see him yet.
Unless you
So,
guys see him. No, he's not here yet.
oh my God.
Oh. He said he was going to be here.
All right. Well,
Dale. While we're waiting for, I'll take the screen, and you can just talk to everybody, and I got the screen. Or did you take the
okay.
screen?
I didn't take it yet. You could take it.
Oh, okay. Oh, no. You
All
got
right.
it. You have it actually. So you have it.
All
We'll
right.
wait for Grega. Okay.
Okay, we'll wait. All right. So quickly, wanted to talk about Bitcoin because yesterday, when we were down here, I said there's potential for another wave, a C wave. Equality would be 96. This was 12 grand. If this is equal, it's up here. And dollar keeps breaking. I thought it was a little bit too convenient for this double top to hold, but cable is leading. So even with dollar weakness, EG looks heavy, baby. And then watch silver today. I'm going to attempt a short at new highs for a three drive. Um, just for a trade, not calling a major top. It's just a trade. Okay. Don't get mad at me if your closet is stacked. Okay. You'll be okay, even if I'm wrong.
By
So,
the way, the wizard did just get here.
all right, Wizard, here's the screen.
Grega, good morning. There you are.
All right.
Hear me?
Yeah, you only have
Yes.
eight.
Yeah,
Hurry up. You only have 8 minutes left.
yeah, should
All
be enough.
right.
Oh,
Is this a major bottom in Bitcoin or just an ABC recovery to sell again for new
uh,
lows? Okay,
yeah.
well, let's start with that. Start with what you want to start with. Go
No,
ahead.
we can start with Bitcoin. I
Okay.
mean, the issue with Bitcoin that I have at the moment is that even when we had some very strong green days on stocks,
Yeah.
Bitcoin barely moved to the upside. So we have seen also massive. I don't have this chart right now here, but I posted on X that maybe you also saw it in the past, that there were massive outflows from exchanges to private wallets after this sell-off has occurred. So basically what that means that a lot of investors are confident holding Bitcoins, and that moves into very extreme levels like never seen before. So now when we are at these extremes, meaning that everyone just wants to hold Bitcoins, well, I just don't believe that markets will award everyone so easily, right?
I
So
hear you.
firstly, the market has to press the prices even lower to liquidate some of those that were buying in recent weeks. So
Yeah.
I still think that there is a chance that we will see some more weakness. I think that 74K is something to watch for, but of course, this consolidation could keep going if stock market would really do well. I also think that dollar is still on the way down here, so this could help.
98.
Yeah, I'm basically looking for this. Not sure if I
No.
mentioned this last time,
Oh,
this gap,
okay.
97.
98. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, below that, yes. So we have
Yeah.
this gap um, from October '06. I'm not really,
Yeah.
don't remember what happened here during this weekend, but we had a nice gap here and then continue to the upside. It now looks like that after this broken wedge, we are headed lower. Of course, these risk on risk off flows for now are looks like that are matching pretty nicely with the dollar. So I think that stocks itself after a very nice rebound from that key support zone here,
Yeah.
what 10 days back or so. I just
Yeah.
think that there's a clear evidence that we are headed back to new highs, and maybe Christmas came early now and still could see 7K, I believe, for a wave 5. And a lot of obviously indexes because
Yeah.
they are in correlation, obviously. Uh, we are looking higher here as well. If you look at technology sector, pretty nice corrective pullback. We are breaking out of this flag here. So as long as we are in this risk on mode, I just think that commodity currencies will do well. I'm long Kiwi, and I also will keep an eye on the Aussie. I mean, Kiwi came very nicely out from this wedge. Whenever wedge is completed, you can expect that price will retrace back to the starting point of a wedge. Now, some would argue that starting point of a wedge could be here, which certainly should be the first major resistance. But when it comes to the Elliott-Wave principle, the starting point of this wedge could basically be here, up there, all the way up here to this 0.6 level. I'm not saying that we will see straight push to the upside into that zone, but certainly before that, we can clearly count 3 waves down into this 78.6%. So I think that in the short term, if we will see some retracement, there can be an interesting buying opportunities from these previous swing supports and swing lows as well. So here around 570, I think that this could be quite interesting first level. If we will go to the smaller time frames, that even shows a very nice, beautiful, impulsive reaction higher. So some correction here would be totally normal, and I think that could give you an opportunity to join the strength here. Also, Aussie, very nice rebound from that previous 2025 swing supports here. We are breaking out of this corrective channel, previously 3 waves down. So this one also suggests more gains. Of course, we are moving now into some near-term resistance levels. But it's surprised that even after today's Australian GDP figures, which lowered a bit. I mean, they missed expectations, but still, Aussie is doing quite well. So I think that this just tells us that Aussie is really strong here, and if we will see more upside on the S&P 500 on stocks in general, I just think that Aussie is something that we should keep an eye on. And here, if you take a look on the S&P, we are just looks like that we are maybe in a smaller consolidation here, above or around this trend line resistance. Now, for those who are looking maybe for some intraday levels, what I would be watching for is that yesterday we basically retested these highs from Friday. It was some gap up here on the cash market. Then we sold off and filled this gap. I can show it in a second.
So you'd buy pullback around that 6,800 level or so?
That was this gap that I mentioned. Yeah, I mean, what I wanted to say is that that was the Monday low, right?
Okay.
And how I look usually at the markets, that they don't always go straight to the upside. They will most likely retest the lows of the highs of the lows and highs of the week. So I would not be surprised if we just see another retest of these lows, because that was low of Monday, low of the week, before we eventually rebound and continue higher. So I would be looking for this to be interesting support. And if we look at the futures here, as I said, 6,800, that would be ideal for potential reversal. It could be a lot of stops below that level, so maybe perfect level to see a rebound later on. And let's not to mention that we clearly had these 5 waves up here from that lows. So I think that this whole situation just tells us that we will continue
bullish.
Higher.
Yeah. Where is it negated, Grega?
I mean, just a second.
All the way down there?
Yeah, I mean, always when correction occurs, it can even retrace for 100% of the previous rise, but not more than 100%. So,
okay.
I mean, we are definitely in bullish trend as long as we are holding these supports here. So you never know how complex this wave four can become, but it certainly looks like that after pullbacks, it looks quite attractive for more upside.
What kind of count? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Ask.
I was curious about your count on silver now, because There's a little small formation setting up here. Okay, so you have it a lot higher. You think
Yeah, I
60
mean,
bucks before we get there or
yeah, I
something?
mean, 60 is something to watch for. It was a
Yeah,
very nasty price action here, as
yeah,
you know, over the past few weeks. A lot
yeah,
of big moves in both directions, and then unexpected break to the upside. But we have seen this kind of activity right at that previous 2011 high. So it's not really
yeah.
surprised that this happened right here. And as long as we are above that level, I think that we are clearly in uptrend. We still need 5 subways to complete this current wave 5. So looks
Okay.
like that this could take us towards $60.
Would that
Gold
take
is not.
gold to new highs?
I think it could, but maybe this one will see a bit of more consolidation first. Even if we get maybe some pullback on silver for a subway
Yeah,
4 or 5, then this could allow maybe this one to consolidate further, and then we possibly see break to the upside in the maybe still sometime this month in 2 weeks maybe
Do
from
you,
now.
do you have a WTI in position for a bear market rally here?
I mean that this one has seen a very nice deep retracement. I mean, despite these peaceful talks that were firstly
Yeah,
like in the news during the weekend and at the end of last week, crude oil still haven't seen any aggressive sell-off. It was
right.
somehow chopping to the downside into the 78.6%. But it's interesting that despite this Putin that obviously is denying any kind of agreement there, it
Yeah,
looks like that even this is not falling the breakout just yet.
yeah,
But I think that there is a better chance that we will see a push here above $60 per barrel that could take us out of this
right.
corrective channel and then possibly retest these highs here. So I'm
Cool,
bullish
bro.
near term as
Yeah,
long as we are trading here above $56. And as we know, and that there are some new restrictions again for Russia that were announced today from
oh,
Europe. So this will bring just even and more possibly cause even more inflation
yeah.
if we will stop importing stuff from Russia. So
Do you want to wrap it where you wanted to start? And that was with rates. I think you were showing the notes or yields. Okay.
yeah, still thinking for a bit more upside here. And basically this one is going nowhere, right? It looks
Yeah.
like a consolidation. So I'm still thinking that we can retest these April highs, but
Mhm.
not necessarily that we will go to the September 2024 highs. So this is a major resistance box up here. But until we reach these levels, I think that yields obviously could come to the downside. Let's see what happens with Fed cuts decisions and next policy announcement, and maybe that will trigger potential new reversals on the markets. But for now, it looks like that market is positioned for more rate cuts and dollar could sell off further.
Okay.
Hey, thanks,
Anything?
Grega. And I was
Okay.
going to say, I got to take over just because we have
Yeah, go
ADP
ahead, man.
data coming out in like 2 minutes. But Grega, great to get your views here. Remember, if you guys want his current views on a daily basis, you can jump over to Forex Analytix, and he's on the Elliott Wave tab, and he provides analysis for us every day for the Forex Analytics community for Elliott Wave. So thanks, Grega, and have a nice time with your daughter at soccer.
Yeah, and don't forget to
Volleyball.
Volleyball, sorry.
put your
Yeah,
uniform on, your bus driver uniform before you leave.
yeah.
All right.
I need
Go
to
ahead,
have one,
buddy.
yes.
All
All
right,
right.
fantastic, Grega. Thank you. And we are less than a minute away from data, actually less than about 20 seconds away. Dale, I mean, look at what's happening in the dollar. I mean, the dollar is really breaking lower.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this in the chat room that if we get some weak data today with ADP and then ISM, I mean, that's gonna I mean, the dollar's in a pretty precarious situation right now.
Minus
Oh my
32,
God.
bad.
Yikes. Oh, wow. So Well, so much for that. The dollar has just gone into a tailspin. And now we're going to be looking at the ISM services data next. And if that data comes in weak, this is the thing we were just talking about in the Forex Analytics chat room. And here, I'll just go ahead and share with you guys some of this commentary. And then I'd like to hear from Ryan and K-Man regarding this. Right here, this dollar weakness is no joke, and it's going to end up being one big seasonal trade that no one wants to get in front of, especially if U.S. data is weak. Stocks will keep climbing on lower rate expectations into the end of year, I suspect. And with the announcement while Ryan was sleeping of Kevin Hassett, that was like an hour ago. We were just talking about the dollar. But you got Kevin Hassett. Trump slipped up and mentioned his name as the next Fed chair, so we kind of know he's coming. Well, we already knew that, but now the market's pretty. It would be a shock if he wasn't nominated. That could turn the dollar. But this is pretty much the most dovish thing you could bring as far as the dollar goes for the incoming Fed chair. Plus, you have all this weak data. If we have
So you
weak
mean he's
ISM
not going to be
today,
hiking rates?
he is not going to be hiking rates. He's going to be
Nah, I don't
he's
believe
going
you. That's going to be a
to
surprise. I think he's going to
he,
hike to 6% at least.
yeah, he's going to run this economy hot, and let inflation stay above
He can
3%.
definitely not run the economy hot. He can only run inflation hot.
Well, he'll be running inflation hot and seeing if we could grow into something better, which I think is going to be a big policy mistake. But hey, we have to trade what we have in front of us, right? And that's a fact. So the dollar is breaking. You can see we have a double top that's starting to play. We just took out this last remaining trend line here. We have some support possibly right now, but again, weaker ISM is just going to set us through probably this 38% retracement. We get below the 38% retracement, then getting down towards the 618 is not out of the question, especially if we're talking over the next couple of weeks. So I want to ask real quick, Ryan and K-Man. I got a chance to listen to the Flow Show. I was awakened by alarms today, so I was up a little early because I knew I had to get up for a meeting anyway. Ryan, what are your thoughts about the data that just came out, and what are your thoughts about missing the Hassett announcement last night?
Well, I just missed a slip by Trump, but I think this excuse for selling the dollar on Hassett is wearing thin because whoever Trump puts in, it's going to be a Trump pick. So the outcome will be the same whether it's Hassett or anyone else. The market's going to expect whoever goes in is going to be dovish. So yeah, I think that excuse is wearing thin as to why we're seeing the dollar moving. But yeah, this ADP. All the weekly numbers have been coming in negative, so I don't know why all economists were expecting positive numbers. We had between 5 and 20,000 up expected. So why they're doing that when the last 3 weeks has shown us all negative numbers is beyond me. But here we are. It's ADP. It's the only jobs number we're getting of its like until after the Fed, and so the market's going to react on it. But it's bad, but the market's already leaning towards a cut in December. So it hasn't moved the needle that much in terms of the dollar, seeing a smallish move lower.
I think the cut seems the most likely scenario with what we currently have for sure.
Yeah, well, exactly. we're getting a cut on. We're going to get a cut next month. I mean, or this next month, next week, of course. And the question is, where we're at following that. Now, I was saying this in the chat room just a little while ago, and again, guys, if you're not in the Forex Analytics chat room and having these conversations with people, talking about positioning in the market, if you're not having these conversations, you have to be in the Forex Analytics chat room. That's where it's all at. We're having these talks. But Steve, this is to next week. We're gonna have. Actually, I was just listening to another analyst just about 25 minutes ago, who's just said the exact same thing we've been saying. Hey, we're gonna get a cut, but it's probably gonna be a hawkish cut. A hawkish cut meaning, yeah, we're going to cut rates, but then they're going to signal that they want to keep rates unchanged for as they take in data from inflation data, jobs data, blah blah blah, and everything gets current. Everybody expects a hawkish cut. How about if it's just a cut and we are in no preset course. We are data dependent, like they always say, and it's more of a neutral cut, not a hawkish cut. That could send stocks to 7,000 in the S&P. It could put the dollar, much lower because everybody's expecting a hawkish cut now. And how about if we just don't get it? I mean, and that's that. If we have weak data today, well, if we get ISM that's significantly weaker, especially if it gets really close to the 50 level, which I think the market's expecting 52. Am I right, Ryan, in that? I don't know. 50,
Yeah,
52 on the nose. Yeah, we're expecting 52. How about if ISM services come in at closer to 50? The S&P global services PMIs have been very, very strong. How about that dips?
I don't get this hawkish cut narrative. Where is this hawkish cut narrative?
Everybody thinks that they're going to cut rates and then they're going to say that's it.
Well,
we're cutting rates. Do it.
Everyone's stupid because there is no way in a million years that Powell is going to shut the door on further rate cuts. He's already said that pretty much, and we know from the
depends. There is an exception to that possibility, Ryan, and I'll tell you which one. What if he wants to just retaliate?
Well,
you understand what I mean, right?
Yeah. Now we're talking tinfoil hat stuff, but in the same way that Powell
not exactly tinfoil hat. I mean, it's not that he has a wonderful relationship with Trump, does he?
No, but in the same way that he came out saying that a December cut wasn't a foregone conclusion, he's not going to go the other way and say, "Oh, that's it. We're cutting, and then we're not going to cut ever again."
No. I want to make it clear. It's not that I disagree with you. I'm just, playing devil's advocate here, right?
And I agree with Steve because he knows. Okay, let's just assume. Let's assume Powell's trying to do the best for all Americans, right? He's really genuinely, his heart is in, like, I'm trying to do the best thing for everybody.
It's like saying, let's assume that a rapist really loves women.
Steve, we don't have enough time for this. We have just a few minutes. He's saying, I want to do the best thing for the for the people. I know Kevin Hassett's going to come in, and Kevin Hassett is a yes man. He is going to lower rates. There's nothing I can do to change that, other than try to keep rates, everybody's expectations, relatively hawkish, for the next few months until he loses the chair. So that's why I think that there is a risk out there that he can be, a little bit more hawkish because he's going to try to stave off what he knows is coming, in the middle of next year. But anyway,
if he's got to do the best for the UK, for the US people, and that's following the Fed's mandate, which is prices and employment. Employment's looking soft, inflation's looking sticky. So he's stuck in the middle, where he has been pretty much for the last 6-8 months. So he cannot close a door or indicate any form of door is closed, be it to the hawkish side or dovish side. So they're going to cut and the door will be open and they'll be data dependent, just the same as they've been the last few months. And it won't be,
and the market's going
to any which way.
And the market's going to like it.
Yeah, maybe.
I think
but then
so.
we also get the dots. And if the dots indicate 3 cuts next year by the medium of Fed members, all right, there's going to be some changing around from the voters and whatnot, but that's not going to be hawkish.
There might be something actionable right here. If you take a look at USD MEX, we cleaned out the 18.25 stops and trying to reverse. Nice divergence on the 4-hour as well.
Yeah, I know Ryan's bought it down here. I actually took my dollar max off for very small loss, which I was happy about earlier.
So just be alert for a reversal.
Yeah, we're here. I mean, we're at a lot of support, and then below that it's 1818. So yeah, I mean, it's all pretty key down here. Let's hear from K-Man. We haven't heard from K-Man other than him yelling that it was a weak IS or a weak ADP. So K-Man, good morning. And
Morning.
what do you think about this whole conversation we're having?
Too long. And no, okay. What I said yesterday is the FOMC cannot be hawkish because they won't have the data, which are going to come in the most important one after the FOMC.
Right.
What's happening in the market right now? Yeah, we have a bit of a weaker employment picture. I think also the market was running a little, maybe a little long dollars. The asset trade will come and go. I don't think it's the most important factor what we are trading right now. What's the
So don't you
prospect?
think it's playing some role in shaping
It was. I mean,
expectation?
this if anyone still, well, I mean, it would be a huge surprise now if it's not Hassett, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
this was known last week, and why did the dollar only marginally react last week to it when he came out on top of the list, and now all of a
So
sudden
you
start
think he's
reacting?
already fully priced in? Because
No,
I
that's
don't think
not
it's
that.
he's already fully
Jesus,
priced
I
in.
mean, stop putting words in my mouth that I don't say, okay? You guys are always trying. No, I haven't said that. There will be a continuous, there will be an underlying impact. That's the same thing as when you have a massive problem in Europe, there's always something underlying, but you don't trade it every day, do you? We have seen interest rates in the US come down. The interest rate differentials have been narrowing with nearly all major other currencies. So there is a give back on the dollar right now. But the other thing that I was talking about on the flow show is that have we not yet started year end? The market was waiting. Usually we are starting to see that middle end of November, but now they have been waiting for several reasons, and because it's Trump, and maybe that is something that we will start to trade now, and the dollar has been turning a little bit. That's what I
This is
thought
for you,
yesterday,
Ryan.
actually.
I'm gonna go ahead and do it right now. There you go.
For who? Oh yeah, no problem, man.
I'm
No
I'm
problem.
totally joking, K-Man. Totally joking. I actually agree with you on that. I do.
No, but if
I
yeah,
do. I'm totally
I've been
joking.
saying since the end of last week, starting of this week, that I'm rather looking at the dollar from the short end right now. So I haven't changed my view, but we still have to look at stuff like euro dollar, for instance. We are still in that big range that we started to trade 4 months ago, 5 months ago, right? Apart from a few spikes outside. So it's still not a trend, I would argue, but there is a case for the dollar weakening a bit. Actually, the yields are just slipping and sliding. Just wanted to say that only versus euro, but also versus sterling, we are at the tightest, so against the dollar in that case, the tightest negative spread between euro and the dollar for quite a while. And in sterling, the spread in favor of the sterling is also rising a bit. So I think all of these moves are relatively logic.
I'm gonna just real quick as far as sterling goes, and I'd love to, Ryan. I'm gonna get your opinion here too. So the sterling just, I mean, we just broke out, but more importantly, it broke. Okay, two technical things that are really important here. I just want to show you guys. So we had where is it? Okay, 38% retracement. So you have a flag pattern with a very, very shallow retracement, and boom, we're going. Now we're post budget. We don't have to worry about the budget right now. But then it just broke the 38% retracement of this entire move, the whole entire drop. So that means that we probably are set for a move to 133.50, 134, 50, somewhere up here in sterling. So Ryan, how do you feel about sterling at this point? Because I mean, I know we got past the budget. You were talking about how it's going to weigh on sterling bulls, but is this more of a dollar trade or is this a sterling trade at this point? Because euro sterling, as Dale pointed out, got slammed back down today.
Yeah, well, it's down what 22 pips in euro sterling, so it's not massive, but that's probably the speed move we're seeing in cable versus euro. But no, this is not a pound move, just the same as it's not a euro move. This is all a dollar move, because no one's buying the euro because everything's rosy in Euroland, and no one's buying the quid because everything's rosy in the UK. So yeah, this is purely a dollar move. It's why I'm not keen to trade the UK via cable for this very reason, but I'm still happy to trade it versus something like euro sterling, and stay short the pound as well. So yeah, this is cable, as you say. It could be 134, could be 135. But if it's going up there, then euro dollar's probably 117 and a half as well. But we know that there's a speed move between the two pairs that will affect euro sterling as well. So you have to know what the driver is at any one time. But no, I would not be buying the pound because everything's great in the UK.
Okay, all right. Well, it looks so clean on a technical setup
Yep,
that
absolutely. Trade to text.
It's like very textbook. Looks like we're going to. I mean, the flag pattern will point us to a move to 134 and change just to complete the flag pattern, which looks entirely possible now. All right. Well, hey, Dale, is Adam here?
Yeah.
Button? He's not, huh? Adam
No,
Button.
I said yes.
Oh, he is. Okay. Did you? You should be host. Did you?
He declined.
He declined.
Please accept, Adam.
He doesn't like you anymore.
We're gonna bring Adam on. Adam Button from
It's okay,
Investment
Dale. I
Live.
still love you.
Thanks, Steve. I was worried about it.
Hey, we had obviously a lot of things going on. Grega showed up today. Got to give you his Elliott wave views of and you can see like this is what he was talking about the dollar. He's expecting dollar weakness. We got to hear from Ryan and K-Man, maybe not as much as we wanted today, and didn't hear as much from Dale. But Dale's looking at the dollar max at this 1825 level, keeping a close eye on it. I'm going to pass it over to you, Dale, so you can have your interview. And Steve, great to always hear your thoughts and ideas too.
Thanks,
Great to be here.
Thank you,
Cheers,
guys.
Dale.
Cheers, guys. Welcome, Adam. How
Hey,
are you,
Dale.
bro? Hey, good to hear your voice. Last interview, I said pick one thing you like, and it was gold. And that was a nice ride for you, buddy.
Oh,
Great call. A
boy,
great call.
oh yeah, that was in early September, right there at the turning
Yeah.
point. It was that was some heady days there for I don't know 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah. So here we are. We're, into possibly, well, not possibly, we're into year end. We have to start thinking about 2026 a bit, don't we? But we do have to get through December 1st. So silver made new highs, Adam, recently, and gold hasn't. Still like the gold, and a lot of people think we could make new highs into year end. Are you in
Yeah,
that camp?
I think that chart looks okay, right? We're starting to see some higher lows. You'd expect to see, I would expect to see it a little closer to 4,100 over the last little bit, but it's pushing
Yeah.
the upside. You'd like to see it break out here. It kind of at the start of the week, it flirted with it, and then it's kind of been sucked back in. But then Asia knocked it down to 4,200 on Tuesday, hung in there, went through it on yesterday in the US, and now it's kind of come back a bit. So I don't know. There seem to be bidders every time it goes down. On the silver side, I think it tells you that retail is getting more involved, which says we're probably, in the latter half of the ball game here. It's you can move a little more easily, right? Without the big central bank bids. Plus I think there is a pretty compelling case for industrial demand, AI demand
Yeah.
of silver that I think is out there now. So pretty impressive move there. Really impressive in gold. Just today or late yesterday, I guess Timorous was out saying that the Fed had canceled interviews that were supposed to be today. Trump had canceled interviews, or JD Vance had canceled Fed interviews that were supposed to be today. Trump saying he's got it down to one person, everybody thinking has it.
Well, they had to do some filming on South Park.
What are they up to? The madness there?
Anyway, South Park does parodies of them. It's a cartoon.
Oh, I know.
Anyway, so yeah, so I mean, gold's had a great year. I would say if it's going to make hay, it should do it now because I know the dollar's under pressure, but I've been looking for this pullback in the dollar, which I think could hold around the 98 level.
Well, I think
So,
it's those few things, we're talking about next year. So Hassett, if it's Hassett or whoever we
oh
get in the
yeah,
Fed, that gold's going
yeah.
to need that. The dollar's going to need that. This Venezuela bit is cooking up, certainly not a dollar positive. And then the Supreme Court decision on tariffs, which I think is huge.
When is that, Adam?
Well, they have about 6 months to decide after
Oh,
the arguments. So they
okay.
expedite it oftentimes. So people are thinking January, February, but we won't know till we know, and that's going to be a moment where you're going to want to be at your desk because and
So,
really brushed up on it because that is a potential game changer. It'll let
it
us know really what the Supreme Court's going to allow. I mean, just last night, Trump trying to veto all the pardons or trying to doing the whole auto pen thing. Again, is the Supreme Court going to allow that? I mean, we're kind of, we're into a different world if really anything goes. So,
well, it's kind of his court. I mean, he appointed, I think, three in his last term.
well, that's
Three
I think the question we
justices.
want answered is it
Yeah,
his court or does precedent or anything else mean anything?
yeah.
Because
So, what would happen to the market if the, the Supreme Court said that some of the tariffs weren't legal and you have to roll them back? Would that be like a black swan event?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think that's probably likely. I mean, if you look at betting markets, it's around 70% on that they will block the tariffs.
Okay,
Now whether they pay them back, that's much lower. I think there's like an administrative thing that a lot of people are saying that is really difficult to do. You sort of blow out the deficit, that's bad for bonds, but good for the rule of law, and probably lowers inflation. So I'd argue bonds can rally. I mean, it's not ultimately that much money that's out there, 200, $300 billion,
yeah.
which seems like an obscene amount, but we have multi-trillion dollar deficits. And it's a one-time thing. Again, you start to punch a bigger hole in the deficit running forward, but you kind of get to think, all right, there are still some checks and balances here, and I think international markets would like that, right? And you would maybe see the dollar stabilize on that. But if I were to make a case for gold or a big dollar sell-off, it would be the Supreme Court sort of rubber stamping it, saying basically Trump can do whatever he wants.
Okay.
Some kind of war in Venezuela kicking off, and you get a stacked Fed. You get Hassett in there, and then you get maybe Lisa Cook getting turfed as well. That's probably 6 months away. And you get, the more meddling in economic data sort of things, which remember, that was one of the things that really kicked off the gold rally and some of the dollar sell-off was firing the
Yeah,
stats
the
agency,
BLS person,
right?
right?
And it's sort of, you just get like, it's just the chaos, right? I mean, if you were to sum it up, it's like, it's a bit on chaos, dysfunction,
Yeah.
and uncertainty.
Okay, well, to speak of, that's a great segue for US dollar yen and BOJ next week, Adam.
Well,
So you think?
overnight there was the
Yeah,
S&P Global PMI for Japan, and it flagged some inflation risks. And
okay.
I think they've got a hike. We're about 66%, or we were last night. That sounds about right, but that's a tough spot to put the central bank in. We're pretty close to the decision here now. I think they have to hike. But then again, you're seeing these ADP numbers. You saw a little bit of GDP weakness from Australia overnight as well. Um, it's a real big debate about where the economy is right now. I mean, the consumer numbers just look good. They look good on Black Friday. Over the weekend, they look good. All those releases on that. I mean, some of that I think is a secular shift to earlier Christmas shopping that's been going on for 10 years, and sort of evens itself out by closer to Christmas because people are just ahead of the game. But
Okay.
consumer numbers look good, and not just in the US. In a lot of places, Europe consumers are spending. I was in London last week at the finance magnates, London Summit. London was busy everywhere. Airplanes full, airports full.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No
Canada's
recession.
economy, despite all the tariffs, looks to be doing fine.
The real
So,
estate. I wanted before we move away from the yen, uh, we've experienced an unwind of the carry trade like that August. I forgot if it was a year ago or 2 years ago. What's more important to put pressure on the carry trade, rates or the value of U.S. dollar yen, or both?
I mean, volatility is a big one, right? In general, and we're seeing a little
What
bit of
would
that.
force, yeah, what would force an unwind of it? Because I mean, people are still pretty piled into the end carry trade.
Yeah, I
What?
mean, it's something like today's ADP data. You start to get some non-farm payrolls that look like that, and yeah, I think you start to see rate cuts. I get this inflate or recessionary talk going again. That'd be first kind of basic scenario. Number two would
Yeah,
be you get some real high volatility out of an unwind in the AI trade.
okay.
We start to see a reckoning in that. You can easily get the Nasdaq down 20% on a rethink on AI. So I think
Yeah,
at some point, as where you mentioned 2026, there has to be a shakeout, right? And you can kind of see the seeds of it being planted. You can see all the angst, Gemini kind of shaking up OpenAI. At some point, you don't price in everyone as a winner. And, that it was a
Google,
pretty impressive release.
yeah. All right. So talking about the unwind of the AI trade, um, we've had this little pullback in NVIDIA. You think that's enough, or there's another
I mean,
wave
even
left?
yesterday's price action kind of worrisome. Like
Yeah,
Nvidia is strong out of the gate, right? And
yeah,
had some
yeah.
good headlines and
And
fades
faded.
down, finishes up like 0.8%.
It's
That
going to
kind
be
of,
up a couple today, I see in the
yeah, well, it's looking
pre-market.
good again. Again, we'll see if it can hold. I mean, that chart starting to look a little head and shouldersy, a little toppy.
Yeah,
I think it's just stupid to think to run their earnings going forward forever. Say, it's only 28 times 2027 earnings. Think, that doesn't seem too bad for a company that's hot, but sustaining 75, 80% profit margins is a bet against capitalism. Um, they and innovation. I mean, that's a huge burden that companies have to pay. It's monopoly pricing. And I think, when that alone is what, 8% of the S&P
S&P.
500,
Yeah.
right? Like that's a drag if that gets cut in half.
And also, we've had pretty nice recoveries in S&Ps and stuff, but we could, even if we made a new high in the Mag 7, it's not going to, momentum seems to be, I don't know what they're rotating into, but this rally seems to be kind of weak compared to what we had in S&Ps. And you know what? You can't even talk about the Mag 7 all moving together. They're even bifurcating.
It's a fair point. I mean, listen, Tesla is way overvalued. I'm totally on board with everything Michael Burry was saying this week. Um, Apple's sort of doing its own thing, looks smart now. Meta just keeps losing on AI despite spending insane amounts of money. They also generate the cash. Google's obviously killing it right now. I don't know who I'm forgetting there. But, and then you kind of look about a rotation or Amazon. I mean, Amazon,
Yeah,
nice
there's
spot.
Apple.
Nice, yeah, nice trade yesterday. I mean, just steady Eddie. Pretty highly
Amazon.
valued Apple, though, for a kind of non-growth company.
Yeah, Meta, Google, Microsoft.
I mean, Microsoft isn't exactly executing either, so
It
they're
looks
kind of a
broken.
management.
Yeah. How about the financials? They start to look a little
Well,
heavier to me.
you look at the Russell 2000. which is something you kind of think, oh, that's economy, small cap economy. It's so financial heavy, and then it's a bunch of memes, like AI memes, quantum computing memes, and it kind of kills me that we don't have like a better old economy metric, or something. It was the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it's just not anymore. And
Yeah.
if you're looking for the rotation. And I think financials can be one, because you can take out a lot of overhead with AI. And I think that trade is going to come. And I think financials are going to be fantastically profitable for a while. Citi is particularly cheap. Bank of America is solid. I don't know how that Citi chart looks. See, it's one I've been circling for a while. Even a airlines, Dale, I want to go down the old Warren Buffett hole. And I think airlines are really, if you're worried about AI and you think that baby boomers are going to travel a lot, like airlines it's a crate, it's been maligned, right? As long as
Right.
you've been in markets, certainly as long as I've been in markets.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett said if God wanted man to fly, he would have made airlines profitable. Um, and he even tried to buy them, but he said he hires someone at one point, joked anyway, to keep him from buying airline stocks because they are always so compelling.
What's your favorite?
I mean, on the home team,
Or
I like Air Canada, but if you just do jets, or American
what's that, an
Airlines,
ETF?
AAL's kind of coming back, or jets, you can pull up either. You look at IAG, even British Airways, and that conglomerate, pretty cheap. I don't know if we're too far outside of what we do with macro. It should be just Jets is the ETF for
Oh,
I don't know if it's not coming up, but you bring up American Airlines. The chart is kind of interesting right now. Had a big day
there it
yesterday.
is.
There it is.
There's Jets. That's the ETF.
So
Wow.
would
Pressing
you
the
let me
highs.
make if you'll humor me for a minute, I'll make a quick case for airlines.
Okay,
First
go
of
ahead.
all, the loyalty programs are ingrained now, and they're like annuities. They're cash cows. They basically get money for points, and they grow and grow, and people collect them, and they kind of lock things in. But it's a very steady revenue source that's basically paid by credit card companies to them. There's a joke that United Airlines is an air carrier, or is a loyalty program with an airline attached to it, because that's so much of its money, and it's steady and it's solid, which is the opposite of the hyper cyclicality in airlines. Number two is the
Interesting.
K-shaped economy. I mean, wealthy people fly, poor people don't. Wealthy people doing better than ever. Number three is demographics. You have this wave of retirement, and baby boomers are traveling like crazy right now. Not only they're traveling, but they're smoothing out the cycle. So a lot of retirees will travel in the spring and the fall. And so that smooths out airline traffic, makes it much more efficient, whereas the summer used to have a peak
Yeah,
because
that's right.
families were traveling, right?
Yeah.
And number three, I mean, on valuation, they're insane. I think it's like sometimes 5 or 6 times EVE, but for something like the U.S. carriers, which have moved up a bit, something like IAG or Qantas, anything international, Air Canada is at like 4 times earnings. Um, they are extremely cheap. And then finally, the last piece of the puzzle is um is more efficient jets. Like Boeing had a big day yesterday. They're cranking out these efficient jets that lock in some real cheap costs, because they burn much less fuel. People, I don't know if you fly a lot, but people fly a lot of first class, a lot of business class, and the margins on that are crazy good.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand it myself, because I'm happy to grind out economy for 7 hours rather than paying $5, $6, $10,000 for a seat.
Yeah.
Uh, but listen, you walk through the plane and they're full. So they've got it down. Maybe it's points. I don't know how people are doing it, why people are doing it, but business travel you'd like to see pick up a little bit more, but it's
Yeah.
probably better than you think, or most people think. So I don't know. That's a little bit outside of where we usually talk on macro, but
That's okay. I'm very curious to know if you ever try and sneak into first class from economy.
No, I don't. Is that possible?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I saw a Seinfeld episode where they tried to do that.
It's
And
it's not going to be. I think the final is not going to be disrupted by AI. So if you don't know where AI, like we're going to
oh
be
yeah,
flying on the same planes for the rest of our lives. There's no robotics. There's no green. There's nothing that's going to change aviation.
okay.
Maybe they could
That's
get
the
a tad
same.
more efficient.
Yeah, that's an interesting argument because that's the same reason that people piled into Uber last year during the trade war tantrum, Liberation Day. They
Yeah.
started buying Uber, and because it wasn't going to be affected by AI. Do you have a view on
Well,
this company at all?
I'm annoyed by it because I was in that trade at the start of the year and got shooken out at some point. I don't know, maybe around a
Yeah,
Liberation Day because it was cheap, right? It is cheap.
yeah,
They can probably do self-driving. They have the network effects. Even Bill Ackman, who's just a weird guy, he made a pretty good case, I think, for it, or maybe it was someone else. It is, it ticks a lot of the boxes. I think people are worried about like robo taxis like Tesla,
yeah.
but I don't know. That's
Well,
why
I
it
think
became
there's
a
a
great opportunity.
Waymo. Waymo is
Waymo
a
too,
big,
sure.
yeah. So all I know is you were long. I was, getting short buying puts, gosh, all the way back to here, and it, never really paid me. It just took a long time, but that looks like a pretty clean breakdown at 90. I was wondering if you thought it
Yeah,
might
I
be
can
a
see what you're
sell.
saying. Like I don't have a position. Like it was a lot cheaper at 60 than it is now at 90.
Maybe it'll
So I'm
trade
kind of just one
60
of those
again.
ones where I think, well, I kind of had it let it slip through my fingers, and now
Well,
it's there's always another trade, I like to say. So you try
yeah.
to dust it off and forget about that one and not FOMO into it.
I
Wait
was
for a better
wondering,
setup.
I wonder what were people saying about it down here, or it was just another
Yeah,
victim
well,
of
that was it.
the
I mean,
market.
it was very
Yeah,
cheap that, people, I think at the time are saying, oh, robotaxi is not going to sweep it away.
yeah,
They have a lot of levers to do their own self-driving. They started working with Waymo as well.
yeah.
And again, it's growing like pretty quickly still. And it's a
It's
nice
go-
service.
it's going to open at 90 today. There must be some positive news in that.
Yes.
Can we
I mean, if it can
cover?
shake off that breakdown and go higher, I mean, tech,
Yeah, maybe that
it's tough to
happens.
trade on valuation.
Why don't we talk about what people have been
What a comeback.
yeah.
What?
Do you don't think this is a low and we're going to blow,
I
or
mean, you
we
just
just
look at
have
that chart. I mean,
yeah
higher low there. Looks like a higher
right
high
here
today.
yeah
It's pretty impressive. I mean, that looked kind of dire when it was down under 84 yesterday. China was cracking down. Was that day before yesterday?
yeah
And
and
I mean, that was a rough fall.
Ethereum looks better. Some of the alts look a little better than Bitcoin.
I mean, I
Um,
honestly, I'm not too interested in Bitcoin other than a trade. And I really like it as a sentiment indicator for risk taking in general. I mean, if you're getting Bitcoin higher here today, I think that was the one thing you were looking at the NASDAQ, you're looking at a lot of these tech stocks saying, well, they don't look that good. And
yeah,
then you had Bitcoin breaking down, which
right.
has been a precursor to tech selling before. And you think, boy, I don't know if I want to be net long NASDAQ into December, January here. Now, if Bitcoin can get right back to 100,000, you feel a lot better about it.
Yeah.
Um, you do got to crack that $100,000 level again, though. So it looks to me like we'll probably drift up around 898 and then have a nice little battle there, and we'll see. But
Okay.
I think now, for right
Anything
now,
on WTIs threatening a breakout of this downtrend
I mean,
over
the supply
60?
demand. I hate to look too much at the chart. I mean, but today's pretty good. I mean, the API data out overnight
Yeah,
was terrible.
yeah,
And we're higher today, so that's good. I mean, OPEC. I don't know why we tried to rally off OPEC the other day, but whatever. There's just too much oil out there and I get So the argument is that everybody knows that we're oversupplied next year and price hasn't cratered. And so that's bullish. But like, I just can't, that's just not a good enough trade for me. They're just too much oil, it seems right now.
And most of it's on the water, right? It's
Yeah,
sitting out there.
it's
Yeah.
building up. Now we're into a slow seasonable period. I just feel like we're going to be dumping oil. Like if you crack 50, I'm pretty interested.
Okay.
That's totally I think it's unsustainable here. But I just think something has to, might get peace in Ukraine here. That's obviously bearish oil. Maybe they pick a fight with Venezuela, but I kind of, if we get a rally on Venezuelan bombs, I'm kind of fading that. It's
Yeah.
900,000 barrels per day in Venezuela in a world that's at like 103 million. It's not really much. And they're not going to bomb the oil facilities. They're just not. They never do. So
Yeah.
maybe you take out 400,000 barrels. It's kind of immaterial.
Yeah.
So I
So
just
maybe we get
don't.
a little $5 rally up here to about 63, 64.
Yeah, and then
On
if it
some,
fails there, you still have a lower high.
right.
I don't want to short crude because it's pretty cheap, but listen, I would love to get a four handle on oil, and then it gets really interesting because
Okay.
that's probably as close of a trade as you're going to get to like a negative oil redux is like
Okay.
45, this in the real world. We're not going to do that again in my lifetime. Yeah, well, I guess you can never say never with pandemics and stuff like that, but
Okay. So I just
there's my
want to,
Twitter.
there he is.
It's
There's
FX
Adam.
underscore button.
Yeah. So just want
Airline
to
stock
show,
underscore button.
let's look at, see what Adam's, you guys need to follow Adam. And he's at Investing Live. This was just a rename of it, right, buddy?
That's right. That's right. We rebranded. We're investing live right now. It kind of talks, more what we're doing. Um, not just FX, which is we've always been coming on here talking about gold, oil,
Yeah,
equity.
we've always covered
Uh,
everything.
so we're there. That's what we're doing. Just looks a little bit different, but still a lot of economic data, heavy on the macro,
Okay.
and just dabbling in a little bit more
What,
of
where
equities.
do we find your stuff mainly on this?
Well, I worked late last night. I'm just on the live feed here. It'll come up. I'll be writing about things in a half hour here.
Okay.
And
So, all right. So you're on the
and
live feed.
yeah,
All
just
right.
investing. I mean, we got a great team there. Greg's great technicals. Just a great team all around. So if you want to know what's happening in markets and why in any given time, I mean, last night was interesting. So there was an election in Tennessee. I was covering that
Yeah.
pretty closely. It ended up about 9 points spread, which is about where you expected. And I think the one takeaway is that there were some models sort of tracking it, right? And we're all going to be
Mhm.
trading next November during the midterms. And, you had a New York Times model, which supposedly should be a good one. And it was saying with 30% of the vote in, that it was going to be 2.9% point win for the Republican, which is
Right.
super narrow on one that they won by 20 points in the
Right.
general election. So it looked kind of like a disaster.
It came
But
in
my
at what,
takeaway from all
11?
that is these models are still terrible.
Okay.
In an AI age with 30% of the vote, you should be able to pretty much nail down the result, especially it's on district level or what do they call them? Precinct level data
Yeah.
with many years of it. And it's just the models still aren't good, which makes, I think it's pretty trivial to run one up for, anyone with a budget and AI capabilities. So I fear that we're kind of not in an era right now where you can use publicly available tools to trade elections live. That's such a killer AI app, and a modeling app, and we're just not going to make it happen. So be careful about trading elections is what I would say
Okay.
live. And the betting markets actually nailed it pretty closely to a 9-point swing.
be careful about running in elections too.
Who would do that?
In this type of
Who would go into
political
politics?
climate. Yeah, well, you know what? I'll be your campaign manager. You
I
want
would
to do it?
never, never, ever. You'd be
Come on.
insane to go into politics.
The traitor congressman, which we had plenty of those. I don't know if they're doing it now. Really good to talk to you again, Adam. Trying to get a little reversal in the Dixie here.
Well, that's an interesting little candle there, but
Yeah,
ADP, weak ADP jobs data, I don't know.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
tough data by the
Yeah,
dollar.
yeah. May bounce. I think it has 98 destiny in it.
You
On
got to
this
think
one.
Powell had some other data that we didn't. You know what I mean? I see this ADP that he flagged a cut out of nowhere, kind of,
Yeah,
and it looked like he was pushing against it, and then suddenly flags a cut on nothing new changing. I don't know. Feel like the Fed has some data that we don't. Gold's starting to run here right now.
yeah,
Uh, it's got to be. He's got to leaking out that it's going to be Hassett, that the
yeah.
Fed's going to cut, that the Fed has seen some data that we haven't on jobs. I don't know. I don't know. It's a pretty poor report. I mean, the trajectory in ADP is kind of ugly too. Nice if we had all the data.
So
But
2026, another great year in S&Ps.
yeah, I think I like things like industrials. I mean, we're just gonna trade on these tariff headlines. Things have held up. Deficits are huge. We'll go where AI takes us. I'm pretty optimistic, but maybe the next leg is financials. Maybe we cut rates a little bit more. But the economy, it's just hanging in there. I feel like everybody kind of wants to get a recession over and done with, but the pain trade is just this kind of 1.5%, 2% economy, with pretty solid consumer and
Okay.
real heavy investment in AI capex.
And none of this the plumbing issues like the repo market or, we had some, private credit where you find out about things.
I mean,
Um,
private credit's got to be one of the most obvious bubbles of all time. It really is. Uh, I just don't know what it looks like when it blows
it's
up.
so
I mean,
opaque. Yeah. How do you know?
well, the marks are obviously bullshit. I mean, the
Yeah.
marks
Right.
have to be bullshit. There's
Right.
just no way that they're reasonably marking any, especially in real estate. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that could end up being bullish for the rest of the market. Yeah, financials get smoked, but if that money makes its way back into public markets, it's all upside.
Yeah.
Uh, because
Well, if the dollar
it's a
gets
scam.
smoked, everything rallies, right? So that's probably the key is the continuation of a bear market in the dollar, lower yields should should lift all boats for a while, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it was one headline at a time. China, I think, China, maybe we get more stimulus there. That's been a great trade this year. I don't know. I think what's working is probably going to still keep working for a while.
Okay. Got a nice little reversal from possible three drive in silver. So Eric, Adam, great talking to you again. I hope you have a great holiday season and 2026 is not only a new name for your company, but new breakthroughs happen for all of you guys.
Well, same to you, Dale. It's been a lively kind of pretty stressful trading year. So maybe we'll
Yeah.
get something a little bit more sensical next year. But some pretty cool things happening in the world. So
And
we're
okay.
enjoying
And I
that.
look forward to talking to you for another decade.
Boy, it's been flying by.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Adam Button, everybody.
Well,
One of the best news traders on the street. Um, he's a guy that has the stethoscope and knows the pulse of what's happening. So pay attention to Adam's work. And thanks again, my trading warrior brother.
cheers, Dale.
Cheers, Adam. So that's a wrap, everybody. Just looking at this, I'm not sure if silver made a new high. That's what I was waiting for. Anyway, catch everyone tomorrow. We'll have Mark Chandler with us tomorrow. So don't miss that. See everyone. Don't just count your pips. count your blessings, and could join the team in 10 minutes for the morning edge. Adios. You're welcome, everyone.